life. 4 old habits. But what about bad habits that have already taken root? How can you change them? Implementation intention offers an if-then plan. When situation X arises, I will perform response Y. Examples. By making your healthy behaviors conditional on environmental cues, you eliminate the need to decide when the time comes. Completing any planned behavior gives an immediate sense of small wins, which has been proven to be an effective behavior change strategy. In one study, qualitative interview data indicated that automaticity developed. Behaviors became second nature, worming their way into your brain, so that participants felt quite strange if they did not engage in them. Charles Duhigg, in his book The Power of Habit, outlines a framework with 4 steps: identifying the routine, experimenting with rewards, isolating the cue, and creating a plan. He states, once you have diagnosed the habit loop of a particular behavior, you can look for ways to supplant old vices with new routines. As an example, he describes his own habit of having a chocolate chip cookie every afternoon, which resulted in him gaining 8 pounds. He tried to force himself to stop, even going as far as putting a post-it note on his computer that read, "And oh, more cookies." However, the habit persisted. To break it, he began identifying the reasons behind the routine. He asked himself questions like, what's the cue for this routine? Is it hunger? Boredom? Low blood sugar? The need for a break before starting another task? What's the reward? The cookie itself? The change of scenery? Temporary distraction? Socializing with colleagues? Or the energy boost from the sugar? He experimented with different rewards: a donut, a candy bar eaten at his desk, an apple while chatting with friends, or a cup of coffee. Finally, instead of going to the cafeteria, he walked to a friend's office and spent a few minutes gossiping. To figure out which cravings drive a particular habit, experiment with rewards and observe patterns. After each activity, jot down the first 3 things that come to mind: emotions, random thoughts, or reflections on how you're feeling. Reviewing these notes will help you identify the reward. If, for example, 15 minutes after eating a donut you still feel the urge to go to the cafeteria, then sugar isn't the driver. However, if 15 minutes after chatting with a friend, you find it easy to return to work, then you've identified the reward: temporary distraction and socialization. Once you've figured out your habit loop, identifying the reward, the cue, and the routine, you can shift the behavior. Plan for the cue and choose a behavior that provides the same reward. For instance, Duhigg realized that his daily cookie habit was driven by the desire for human interaction. This insight allowed him to write a new plan. At 3:30 every day, I will walk to a friend's desk and talk for 10 minutes. You might indulge in habits that are physically, mentally, or emotionally unhealthy simply because they've become routines. Researchers found that people automatically lit cigarettes in bars despite no smoking signs, even when they intended to follow the rules and were otherwise law-abiding citizens. Whether forming a habit or changing it, eliminate the need for decision-making through pre-planning. Use the if-then approach to compensate for deviations. By acting on the same cue and gaining the same rewards, you only need to change the routine. The ripple effect of a keystone habit. Duhigg coined the term keystone habits, which are small changes or habits that people introduce into their routines that unintentionally carry over into other aspects of their lives. A single habit, whether good or bad, can have a compounding effect on your life. Here's a story about Evan, shared by The World Counts. Evan was diagnosed with diabetes and had to limit his carbohydrate intake and control his calorie consumption. He began reading food labels before buying them, becoming more conscious of sugar and fat content. This change led him to eat only sugar-free and low-fat foods, which improved his blood glucose levels and controlled his diabetes. He also lost some weight, felt lighter, and looked better. Encouraged by the improvement, he started exercising for 15 minutes daily to lose more weight. A few months later, he became physically fit. His new lifestyle boosted his confidence, making him more active and vocal at work, which earned him a promotion. Evan's happiness and improved self-esteem also strengthened his marriage, as his wife noticed and appreciated the positive changes. All these outcomes began with one small habit: watching what he ate. One habit can ripple across your life. Identify your habit loops And remember that our natural tendency is to stay in our comfort zone. To build new behaviors, make them normal for your brain by engaging in productive actions often and rewarding yourself with small wins. Use your environment as a cue and write down when and where you will perform your new behaviors. 7 habit hacks. Introduce one healthy routine. Don't try to change too many things at once. Start with one habit, wake up early, eat healthy, or learn a new skill, and stick to it every day. Just one thing and try to do it every day, every season. 2. Create a list of goals. Write down 1 to 3 realistic goals, such as career or health objectives. Avoid making an exhausting list. 3. Track your habits. Use an app or reflect at the end of the day to monitor your progress. 4. Break it into small steps. Divide tasks into manageable chunks. For example, to build rapport. 5. Follow the 80-20 rule. Focus on the 20% of tasks that yield 80% of the results. 6. Focus on single tasks. Multitasking reduces efficiency. Dedicate specific hours or days to individual tasks. 7. 1% progress daily. Even a 1% improvement every day can lead to a 366% gain over a year. Your attitude determines your altitude. Successful people don't just drift to the top. Getting there requires focused action, personal discipline, and lots of energy every day to make things happen, says author and entrepreneur Jack Canfield. Developing good habits requires determination, patience, and effort. Routine, not motivation, determines success. If you want to succeed, take a closer look at your habits.